and to prove that paper choice is a really personal thing. And today I just want to prove that really, because what I've got 3 images by one of our wonderful ambassadors, Jack Lodge, and he has very kindly let us print these 3 images on 3 different papers. And what we're going to do is I'm going to go through them today in today's video, and the reasons why I picked these certain papers for these subjects that are in front of me here. But also we're going to send these prints to Jack and he is going to give his verdict as well. Now that's going to be on a separate video, him giving his verdict on these prints and which ones he would choose as well. So keep your eye out for that. But today is really about talking through the paper choices and why I haven't picked certain papers for certain images. I'm pretty sure though Jack's going to have a different opinion on this, so it's going to be quite interesting to see. But before we get into any of that, please don't forget to subscribe to the Fotospeed YouTube channel, and also don't forget to subscribe to the Fotospeed newsletter to keep up to all the news from us here at Fotospeed and all the latest offers and discounts. Okay, that's the housekeeping out of the way. So let's get into the prints on the table. So I've printed 3 of Jack's prints, and I've printed the same 3 on each of the papers in front of me. So I've used an NST Bright White, a platinum etching, and also a platinum gloss art fiber here as well. Now I picked these because they're 3 of my favorites, to be honest, but also I really think that these papers will really complement Jack's work. Now I know he's already used a little bit of NST Bright White and possibly a little bit of platinum etching, but I haven't seen him use platinum gloss art fiber actually. So it'd be interesting to get his viewpoints on these different papers and what I've actually used in here. Now, I should say that all these were printed in-house. They were all printed on the new Canon, the 1100. And because Jack is also a Canon ambassador, so we have used Canon printers, the 1100, and they're all shot on Canon camera systems as well. Now, obviously, because they're Jack Lodge's work, it's absolutely fantastic. And if you haven't looked at Jack's work, please head over to his website. I'll put all links to his Instagram and things and his website and everything in the description below. So have a look at his work, absolutely incredible. So let's have a look at the first shot that we're going to have a look at. And it is going to be this incredible picture here. Okay, so this is the first shot I'd like to look at here. Now in the middle here, we have the platinum etching, and you can see hopefully that the white point of the paper is slightly warmer and it's got this very fine texture to it, which is absolutely lovely. And then on this side, we have the NST Bright White, which is probably the go-to for most photographers and will do absolutely everything and always a paper I recommend to have on the shelf. And then we have the platinum gloss art fiber here. Hopefully there's not too much shine on the overhead camera for it because it's like a semi-gloss type of unglazed gloss. It's almost like a little bit of a satin, but not quite. It looks absolutely beautiful. Now the one thing I can instantly see is, for some reason, on the gloss art fiber here, is that we are kind of losing, if I compare it to the NST Bright White here, I do find we're losing a little bit of detail in this lovely halo, and it is causing, I don't know, for me it's quite distracting. The gloss is a little bit distracting. So for me, I wouldn't use the gloss art fiber for this work. So I just put it over here for the second. Now, so it leaves me a couple of matte papers, to be honest. And I think this is where the work is probably going to go. I know Jack's work will already suit matte papers, so I think it's lovely, and also we don't get any glare or anything either. And for me, with this one, this picture here, the platinum etching is just, it holds the detail really nicely up here. Because of this slight texture though, it's kind of creating an effect that isn't really complementary to the large areas of the black areas down here, the foreground, the darker areas down here, and also up in the sky areas. Really, this needs to be lovely and smooth and perfect. So that would put me off using this paper. Otherwise, I mean, it looks beautiful, but the only issue is when you compare it to the NST Bright White, this looks lovely and smooth in these areas because it's got a smoother texture to it. And that higher white point really makes the colours pop as well. And I know colour's quite important in Jack's work, and those intensity of colours as well. You just get these little bit of better blues in the sky, but also it just holds the detail very, very slightly more, I think, the NST Bright White. So for me, on this shot here, I'd be definitely looking at the NST Bright White as my preferred paper choice for this shot here. I'm interested to know what Jack comes up with, what he actually prints this print on, because I do know he has printed a couple of these already. So I wonder what he went for in this shot. So NST Bright White for the first one here. Now I've gone for the other side of Jack's work, which is his wildlife, which if you've seen his landscape photography, it's absolutely incredible. And then you see his wildlife work and I think it's incredible as well. And how you can flip between the two and create such amazing images in both genres. Very jealous. However, this is a really great picture because it shows the detail beautifully. It's got this lovely kind of smooth background in here. So it looks fantastic. And I mean, it is such a great shot, in my opinion. So let's start with, I've got the platinum etching on this side here, the gloss art fibre in the middle, and then the NST Bright White on my left here. So instantly what I can see under these lights here is that the NST Bright White it's just lost a little bit of contrast possibly, which isn't a problem. I mean, it's held detail absolutely beautifully. I'd kind of expect it to be the other way around, but holding them side by side, I would say that the NST Bright White has just lost a little bit of that warmth, perhaps. So that could be to do with the high white point of the paper. But it's held everything. I mean, it's a pin sharp shot. So, I mean, there's nowhere to hide on this. And the depth of field and bulk on at the back there looks absolutely fantastic. And I mean, it looks beautiful, and I'm sure everybody would be absolutely blown away if they produced a print like that. Now, the gloss art fibre again, it has this shine. I think it looks fantastic, but for some reason it just looks a little bit flatter, and I don't really know why. Because I would normally say anything with a bit of a sheen to it would usually look a little bit kind of jump off the page, have a little bit more life to it. However, this one, when I start putting it on the table, for some reason, the platinum etching just looks alive. It is jumping off the page at me. It's very subtle, but it is really just jumping off the page. Those colours and everything are just incredible. This looks almost like it's in the paper, and the platinum etching looks like it's actually on top of the paper. Now, this could be because of that slight texture. It's not distracting in like the blur in the background caused by the depth of field. I think it's just because of this texture, and it works really nicely in these areas, the fur and everything, and it just makes it stand out. It adds a little bit more depth to the print. So subtle because we're doing it with paper texture. We're not doing it with any kind of fancy things in the computer to kind of increase the sharpness or anything like that. But it's just using that paper texture, and it's just brought it out for me. So for me on this one, it is definitely the platinum etching. I think the other two look absolutely fantastic, but when you've got them side by side, for some reason, the platinum etching just jumps off the page a little bit more for me. And it simply comes to that. And these colours, I love this green that Jack's achieved on this side. Wow. It's just such a great green, and it just sets everything off in the picture really, really nicely. So platinum etching for that one for me. I'm going to put these other two to the side. Again, quite interested to see what Jack says about that. I've got a funny feeling he's printed it on NST Bright White, but I wonder what he would pick. Okay, let's grab the last one of the polar bear, and then we will conclude. Okay, so here's the last shot. It's of this, I want to say sleeping polar bear, but he may have just closed his eyes at the time that Jack pressed the shutter on here. Now, we've got quite a variation in here. I think the blues are pretty much the same on the matte papers. So we've got platinum etching on this side, which looks a little bit flatter in this case. We've lost a little bit of warmth in here as well, which is interesting. We probably wouldn't expect that, but it has lost a little bit of warmth, a little bit more neutral perhaps. So for me, that kind of almost discounts this, because for the NST Bright White, it looks fantastic. It suits it really well. Now, also for the Platinum Gloss Art Fiber, oh, this is the toughest one actually, because I think the colour for me just looks a little bit better on the NST Bright White. Now, it's really difficult. I really like the detail that is just held in here. Almost a little bit too much, if that makes sense. I think that the NST Bright White as a matte paper, it just kind of softens it very, very slightly in tone, not in kind of sharpness or lens sharpness or anything like that, but just in tone. And I think it's such a subtle thing. Yeah, for me, I think sadly, NST Bright White is going to win out on this one. And that's probably what I would print it on. I probably wouldn't go platinum etching, but NST Bright White for me in this one would be a great choice. Oh, I'm undecided. I'm really undecided. Yeah, I think in NST Bright White, to be honest. It just does this kind of subject really nicely. And the rocks in the background it's just held this pink a little bit better. Not saying it looks bad on this. I just think that it just held it a little bit better in this one here. So sadly, another boring choice, NST Bright White. I mean, it is absolutely fantastic and it will do absolutely anything. And I think that's the problem. So I hope kind of Jack's happy with my choices. So there we are, really. I've got these 3 prints here, and I've got 2 on NST Bright White, and then I've got 1 on platinum etching. So the platinum etching was the mice here, and was this wildlife shot here, absolutely fantastic. Again, NST Bright White for these 2. I think it might be the blues. I can see I've picked 2 kind of blue images for the NST Bright White. I think it works particularly well with those blue areas. It just holds those colours really nicely. Like I said, the platinum etching, it just lost a little bit of detail in here perhaps. But the Platinum Gloss Art Fiber almost won this. It was very close with the polar bear shot. But I think the NST Bright White just pipped it by a quarter of a step or so. It was just that close. Just held these lovely little rain shots or kind of water shots anyway in this pink area at the top here. Well, I hope that's kind of been useful for you to just see about what I would look for when I'm picking papers. And when you have them all side by side, pick that first instinct as well, especially with the polar bear shot here. The platinum etching just didn't work for this shot. Don't know why, just didn't work. It should work, but it just didn't. And it didn't hold these areas very nicely at all. But other things like sharpness and color rendition as well, like in this shot here, but also with this shot here with these beautiful halos over the crop. I don't know how Jack does it, don't ask me. But they're absolutely beautiful and absolutely stunning, I know that. Now we're going to pack up these prints, all of them, and I'm going to send them to Jack and get his opinion of them. And keep your eyes open for that, because Jack is going to record a video for us as well, talking through these prints and to see if I've got the decision right. Because paper choice is so personal, and I would pick these papers for Jack's subjects here, but as it's his work and he knows in his head how it was on the day and how he wants them to look, I think that paper choice, because of that, takes on another level. And it's always good to use it as an editing tool as well. Like with this shot here, that lovely texture just added that little bit of depth to the print. So hopefully, I'm really interested to see what Jack says. Okay, on that note, please don't forget to subscribe to the Fotospeed YouTube channel and also subscribe to the Fotospeed newsletter on fotospeed.com. Also give us a thumbs up as well, really helps us here on YouTube. So until next week though, bye-bye.